Chris Kenobi, MD, is a physician, ophthalmologist, nutrition researcher, author, speaker, public health advocate, and the founder of two nonprofit organizations, Ancestral Health Foundation and Cure AMD Foundation. Since 2015, Dr. Kenobi has given scores of presentations and achieved international academic recognition for his work on the dangers of highly polyunsaturated vegetable oils.
So processed foods are really made up of just three things primarily. It's refined flours, refined sugars, and refined industrial vegetable oils. And these three components are nutrient deficient and toxic, and when we consume these to excess, they drive overweight, obesity, and virtually all of our chronic diseases. Coronary heart disease, strokes, cancers, diabetes, and so on. So the industrial seed oils or vegetable oils are the worst component of processed foods because they're high in omega-6 fat, and those fatty acids accumulate in our bodies. They accumulate in our body fat, in our cell membranes, and in our inner mitochondrial membranes, and they're ultimately driving an environment that is pro-oxidative, pro-inflammatory, toxic, and nutrient deficient. I call those the four pillars of hazard that ultimately drive overweight, obesity, and chronic disease. So the world and the United States had almost no vegetable oils at all up through the year 1865. And then right after the American Civil War, cottonseed oil was introduced in the United States. That was the first seed oil that we actually had. Soybean oil was then introduced in 1909, and then we got all the others. Today we have soybean, corn, canola, cottonseed, rapeseed, grapeseed, sunflower, safflower, rice bran, sesame, and peanut oils. These are what we'd call the industrial seed oils. These are the ones that are high in omega-6 fats that ultimately accumulate in our bodies and drive this dangerous metabolic environment. Globally, vegetable oils didn't exist for about 95% of the population approximately up through the year 1865. So we're basically less than 0.1 grams per person per day in 1865. This grew to 65 grams per person per day by 2010. And with that came epidemics of overweight, obesity, coronary heart disease, strokes, cancer, diabetes, metabolic disease, Alzheimer's, macular degeneration, and so on. So first, let me tell you that obesity was almost rare in the 19th century. It was 1.2% in men age 18 to 80. This grew to 13.4% by 1960, 15% by 1980, 30.9% by 2000, and 42.5% obesity in the US by 2018. So what you see is that processed foods have grown right along with overweight and obesity. And the main component of the processed foods is these vegetable oils, which again grew from 0 in 1865 up to 80 grams per person per day by 2010. So many people don't know that coronary heart disease was virtually unknown through the end of the 19th century, through 1900. There were rare case reports throughout the entire world. 1912 was the first documented heart attack in the US, and then coronary heart disease became the leading cause of death in the 1930s. Today, coronary heart disease takes 1 out of 3 lives. So we grew from virtually 0 in the 1800s to now 1 in 3. Cancer is very similar. So cancer took the lives of 1 in 188 people in the United States in 1811. That grew to 1 in 17 lives in 1900, and is again almost 1 in 3 lives as of 2010. So cancer increased 62-fold in the United States between 1811 and 2010. Diabetes was also extraordinarily rare in the 19th century. So in 1890, Sir William Osler published that diabetes affected about 1 in 36,000 people in the United States in 1890. That grew, right along with vegetable oils, 132-fold to 0.37% by 1935. Eventually, by 2016, we're at 13%. So diabetes grew 4,643-fold between 1890 and 2016. And as of 2018, 51% of Americans are either diabetic or pre-diabetic, so more than half of us. The very first case of Alzheimer's was published by Alois Alzheimer, a physician in Germany, in 1908. There was, I think, 4 cases in 1910. There was about 250 cases worldwide by 1950 in the published literature. Today, 55 million people have dementia. 65 to 70% of that is Alzheimer's. So now there is 1 new case of Alzheimer's every 3 seconds. Coronary heart disease, cancer, diabetes, all of these diseases are strongly correlated with vegetable oil consumption, the highly polyunsaturated vegetable oils. So my new book is called The Ancestral Diet Revolution, and basically this book connects processed foods and vegetable oils to overweight, obesity, and chronic disease. If you read this book, you'll understand how these foods and vegetable oils drive overweight, obesity, and chronic disease, and how you can reverse most of these conditions just by changing your diet.
To learn more, go to either ancestralhealthfoundation.org or cureamd.org. Dr. Kenobi's book, The Ancestral Diet Revolution, is available at amazon.com.